Welcome into CFB Breakdown, where we bring in Joe Lisi, one of the best voices and minds in the college football industry. Find him on Twitter at @GoForThe2. He went 1-2 last week against the spread, so he's in bounce back mode, ready to get after it. Joe Lisi, welcome in. How you doing today, bud?
I'm raring, Drew. Another great weekend of college football. On week number 3, we have conference play entering week number 4. Doesn't get better than this, does it?
No, it's awesome. And you can find Joe on Twitter at @GoForThe2. He's a great follow. Also his work at GoForThe2.com. But Joe, let's get right into it. Let's start off with an SEC showdown, 3:30 CBS game. We got the number 1 team in the nation, the Alabama Crimson Tide, traveling to Nashville to take on the Vanderbilt Commodores. It looks like Alabama's laying 18.5 pretty much across the board. If you like Vandy, you can grab a 19.5 at Bovada right now on SBR odds. And it looks like a 43 is the total. I don't think there's going to be a lot of points in this game, Joe, but how do you feel about this one?
Yeah, this is an intriguing battle, Drew. It's conference play. Both teams are 3-0 entering this battle in Nashville. You're talking about a series that's been owned by the Alabama Crimson Tide. Alabama is 43-3 over Vanderbilt. They've had 12 straight wins. Their last loss to Vanderbilt came in 1993. So all the trends favor Alabama, but I really like Vanderbilt in this matchup. Couple of factors why. You look at Alabama's offense entering this ball game. Alabama coming off a 41-23 defeat over Nick Stevens and Colorado State. Defensively, Alabama's allowing 80 rushing yards per game and 224 yards through the air. Last year, they allowed only 63 rushing yards to opposing offenses. That was number 1 ranked in FBS. But I look at the offense led by Jalen Hurts and new offensive coordinator Brian Dable. That's a concern I have entering this ball game for Alabama. Third down conversions for the Alabama Crimson Tide, 36% compared to last year under Lane Kiffin. They were at 43%. You look at their passing offense, they're more of a rushing attack this year. They're rushing for over 200 yards and passing for 178 yards through the air. Compared to last year, they were averaging 210 passing yards per game, so not as proficient in the passing attack entering this ball game. And you look at their leading wide receiver, Calvin Ridley. He's solely the total receiving production for that offense. He leads that team with 15 total receptions. The other wide receivers after him, Cam Sims and Robert Foster, 3 and 4 receptions apiece. So if Vanderbilt could double team Calvin Ridley in this matchup, I think they could be in this ball game from start to finish. Again, I like Alabama to win this game, but I like the defense of Vanderbilt to keep this game very close. You look at Vanderbilt's defense entering this ball game, they're holding opposing offenses to 14% on third down conversions. They're very solid in run support, only giving up 103 rushing yards per game. And their secondary is holding opposing offenses to 95 passing yards per game. I think that's the matchup that you want to see play out in this SEC battle. You look at the offense led by Kyle Shermer. This is an offense now that is more proficient in the passing game. Vanderbilt's passing for over 200 yards per game. You look at Kyle Shermer, he's completing 71% of his passes, 8 touchdowns, no interceptions. Compared to last year, Kyle Shermer threw 9 touchdown passes the whole season. I think he'll be able to make some plays on Alabama and keep this game close. In the end, though, Alabama wins a high-scoring game, 35-21 over the Commodores.
All right, so looking for Vandy to cover the spread. That's the pick in this game, Joe?
Correct. Vandy, and I like the over here too, Drew. I think there'll be a lot of points in this matchup because of the speed of Alabama. I think this is an over. If you're asking me, the 43.5 looks very enticing to me.
All right, so liking the over, but the pick for the record-wise is the Vanderbilt Commodores, and we can give you 19.5 at Bovada. On to the night slate for the SEC. Actually, on SEC Network, we got 331, 332 are the rotation numbers in this one. We got the Florida Gators. Tough spot here, Joe, going on the road into Lexington and having to lay anywhere from 2 to 3, depending where you shop. Looks like 5 Dimes has 2 right now, pretty much across the board at 2.5. But if you like Kentucky, you can find a 3, get +3 at Pinnacle. Looks like the total, some under money coming in. Open 46, now pretty much across the board at 44. How are you looking to bet this one, Joe?
Another intriguing game that's been owned by Florida overall, Drew. Florida has won 30 straight games against Kentucky. Kentucky's last victory came in November 15th, 1986, by a score of 10-3. You look at since 2012, Florida is undefeated. They've won those ball games by 20.8 points per game. They're coming off an emotional Hail Mary over arch rival SEC East opponent Tennessee, 26-20. But I like Kentucky in this matchup. You look at Kentucky's defense entering this battle. Kentucky held South Carolina in check last week in Columbia. They won that ball game 23-13, but their front seven in run support is playing very well. They're holding opposing offenses to 57 rushing yards on the ground. They held Ito Smith and Southern Miss in check week number 1, 55 rushing yards. Last week, Rico Dowdle and South Carolina only got 54 total rushing yards in that matchup. Compared to last year, Kentucky allowed 228 rushing yards on the ground. You look at Florida's offense entering this ball game, Florida's only rushing for 89 yards per game entering this ball game on the road. They haven't had a rushing touchdown in the last 8 games, the 2 games this year and the last 6 of 2016. I think Kentucky can make them one-dimensional and force Felipe Franks to beat them over the top. The way you have to beat Florida is you have to attack their secondary. Kentucky's given up, the way you beat Kentucky, Kentucky's allowing 289 passing yards to opposing offenses. Felipe Franks entering this matchup only has 2 passing touchdowns. One of them's a Hail Mary. You look at the effects of the Hurricane Irma. They were up in that matchup in Gainesville. Everything settles down now, and they go on the road. Everything points to Florida because of their emotional victory. I don't buy it. The streak ends this weekend. If there's one week you're going to take Kentucky to break the string, it's this coming Saturday. Kentucky gets the victory 31-24 over Florida.
All right, Joe, I like it. I like the Wildcats too. And record-keeping purposes, we can put you on Kentucky +3 at Pinnacle. Does that sound right, Joe?
Yep.
All right, so we've got the Wildcats plus the points at home. Nice home dog there. That one's on SEC Network, 7:30 Eastern Time. On to the nightcaps. We got one going on FS1, 10 p.m. Eastern kickoff, 7 p.m. Pacific. We got the Washington Huskies traveling to Boulder, Colorado to take on the Colorado Buffaloes. Looks like Pinnacle's hanging Washington -11. We got BOL at -10.5. So depending on which team you're wanting to bet, want to shop around. A total pretty much across the board at 50. How you betting this nightcap, Joe?
Well, it's a rematch of the Pac-12 championship game where Colorado lost 41-10. Since 2012, Washington is 4-0 over Colorado and has dominated those games by 33.2 points per game. But I'm all in with the Buffaloes with revenge on their mind. I look at this Colorado offense led by quarterback Steven Montez. This is an offense that's averaging 299 passing yards per game. They're running the football for 48 rushing yards on the ground with Phillip Lindsay. But I look at the wide receivers of Colorado. You're talking about Shea Fields, Devin Ross, and Bryce Bobo that have combined for 54 total receptions, 689 receiving yards, and 5 touchdowns. I think they can stretch Washington's defense vertically and get points. But more importantly, it's also the secondary and the defense of Colorado. They're holding opposing offenses to 25% on third down conversions. I think that's a key factor on the road for Washington entering this ball game. You look at Washington's offense overall this year, not as prolific as it was last year with a balanced offensive attack. They're only rushing for 128 rushing yards on the ground compared to 198 last year. That's 70 rushing yards less per game. I think they could be put into third down and long situations. That's going to put a lot of pressure on their offensive line and Jake Browning to make plays. And more importantly, I look at their strength of schedule. Even though Colorado hasn't played a lot of solid competition up until this point, you're talking about Washington that dominated Fresno State and Rutgers. Those teams were a combined 3-21 overall in 2016. I like the speed of Colorado playing at home. I think they get the upset. 28-24, Colorado gets revenge for the Pac-12 championship game and strikes the upset over Jake Browning.
Nice. Okay, so taking Colorado plus 11, you can find that at Pinnacle. And Joe, just a quick question for you. Do you think Steven Montez is a step up or a better quarterback than, say, last year's quarterback, Sefo Lufo?
I think he is, for the simple fact that he got great game experience, especially in tough environments. He played in the Pac-12 championship game when Lefau got hurt. He also played when Lefau got hurt against Michigan in Ann Arbor. I think he gives them big play capability. He seems like a confident quarterback. And when you have a trio of wide receivers that can take the top off the defense, there should be plays over the middle of Washington's defense. That should open up running lanes for Phillip Lindsay later in that ball game. And I don't think this is the same dominant Washington defense that we saw last year. They are forcing turnovers entering this game. They're +6 in turnover margin, but still not the same secondary led by Budda Baker and those trio last year. I like Colorado's speed in this matchup.
All right, Joe. So going with 3 home dogs. I like it. Find Joe on Twitter at GoForThe2. His work at GoForThe2.com. Joe, thanks for coming in, and we'll see you next week.
Love this show, Drew. Anytime. Love talking college football with you.
Absolutely, bud. All right.
Hey guys, thanks for tuning in to our channel. Now, we've put a lot of work into producing all these free videos, so please help us out and keep all our content free for you forever by simply liking, sharing, commenting, and subscribing. Now, not to mention, a visit to our industry-leading website will warm the hearts of all our SBR employees, especially myself. Now, the links are over there to the left, so do check those out. Thanks for watching.